Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we have the latest from the live radar. Run for the latest weather warnings, as we have got pretty widespread rain warnings issued for northern and western areas throughout Saturday into Sunday, as we are going to see a conveyor belt of moisture pushing in. You can already see the start of that rainfall pushing in. It is going to come both more extensive and heavier within the next 24 hours and could dump a good couple of inches of rain quite widely in the north. Now, the reason we're seeing this is because of the big divide that we've spoken about a lot in the past few days. Very warm, humid air in the southeast, a taste of summer and a taste of winter further northwards as Arctic air starts to push in. And along that dividing line with those upper air temperatures, those big air masses do clash. We are seeing this rain starting to form, and that contrast could get up to around the 20-degree contrast come this weekend. So it is a big weather front. And it is going to produce a lot of heavy rain. To the southeast, though, as we'll see in a few moments' time, it's really warm, and that will continue throughout today. For, as we'll see from the latest UKV, the rainfall will push through on Sunday, and we could see a big temperature drop with temperatures down to maybe 8 or 9 degrees across parts of the Midlands, where the cold air coincides with that heavier rain. Into next week, it does remain pretty chilly as we start to see easterly winds pushing in, but with high pressure involved, this blocking high, we are going to see things settle down for much of next week. There could still be showers, especially in the east and the south, as we do see perhaps small troughs moving in and smaller areas of lower pressure. But generally speaking, things are going to be drier, hopefully sunnier, but pretty chilly indeed as we head into next week. And then the longer term prospects, still very uncertain, but some runners continue to keep that high to our north and our northeast. Other runs do open up the Atlantic, pushing us into a trough as we continue to see this big amplified jet stream. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see that big band of rain starting to form, sat out in the Irish Sea, extending across the Isle of Man, parts of Eastern Republic of Ireland, up towards the Scottish border. Now, it doesn't look too extensive at the moment, and it doesn't look too heavy, but this is going to pretty much not move at all in the next 24 hours, and it's going to continue to see pulses of rainfall along it, and it will become really heavy through Saturday into Sunday morning. Now, to the north of this, it's pretty chilly. It's not that cold yet, but it is going to progressively get colder as the northerly winds start to rush in over the next 24 hours. To the south and the east, though, look at this. It's warm. It's summer-like across eastern and southeastern England, with temperatures peaking around 25 or 26 degrees. Now, I'm recording this around 2 p.m, so we are heading into those peak temperatures at the moment. We're already getting up towards those mid-20s, so it's a very warm late September day. We haven't really seen much of this at all during September, these sort of late summer warmth, but yeah, we're seeing a day of it now. It is a blip, though. We are going to see the cooler, fresh conditions arriving through the weekend with that extensive rain. But for much of Western Europe at the moment, it is like we're back in the middle of summer with this southerly wind for a short period of time. If you do look at the weather warnings, though, you can see we've got this widespread rain warning. It has been removed for parts of Northern Ireland, where it was in force yesterday, so there has been an update. But you can see it comes into force at 9 a.m. during Saturday morning and expires at 6 a.m. on Sunday for a band of rain, heavy at times across Wales, Northern England and Southern Scotland, expected to remain slow-moving before making erratic progress eastwards during Sunday. 20 to 30 millimetres, so a good inch plus widely, 60 to 80, so 3 to 4 inches in a few spots. Again, might not only be confined to the higher ground, could become more widespread. So there could be extensions to this warning. There's a small chance it even gets upgraded. If we look at the impact matrix, it's medium impact, very low likelihood at the moment. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see whether we see any further updates. But this area is where we're going to see the heaviest rain. The latest update was earlier this morning. You can see it's been extended, moved southeastwards to remove parts of the central belt and to include a greater portion of England and Wales. So slight alterations in the warning zone as the models continue to update this. And you can see that warning continues into Sunday. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see that precipitation moving in at the moment and further pulses during this afternoon and evening. BC doesn't get too heavy until late hours of Friday into the early hours of Saturday, where we start to see some really heavy, extensive rain pushing in, and then as we head during Saturday evening, it starts to clear the far southeast, and this is where we start to see that colder air pushing in. Another band of precipitation moving through on Sunday, and under this it's going to be really cold, maybe only 8 or 9 degrees, with the rain cloud coincides with those colder upper air temperatures. And then you can see we're all into that fresher northerly wind, and eventually into next week it veers to more of an easterly. And you can see it's dry further westwards with sunny conditions, but still showers, maybe some small troughs moving in from the east, which could keep things a little bit cooler. If you look at the mean sea level pressure, you can see that low clearing through Saturday into Sunday, a strong northerly wind pushing in, and then you can see as we head into early next week, it veers to more of an easterly as we do start to see that high pressure building slightly further northwards and eastwards, and that brisk easterly wind. You can see it from the mean winds here coming in off the North Sea. It's not going to be too strong, but it is going to be chilly, and it will make the temperatures cooler, but also the feel-like temperatures even colder than that. If you look at the max temperatures today, peaking around the 25 or 26 degree mark, like we're in the middle of summer. But into Saturday, could still see 22 in the east, but further northwards and westwards, look at this, much colder. Low teens, maybe even high single digits for parts of Scotland with that Arctic air moving in. Sunday, look at that, 8 or 9 degrees across parts of the Midlands with the cold air coinciding with the cloud and rain. Many areas low teens at best. Now Monday, because it turns slightly drier, we could get to 15 or 16, but that is, not great compared to what we've seen both recently, and that is the top temperature. Most areas maybe 12 or 13 again, and on the feel-like temperature, it'll be even colder than that. And Tuesday, look at this, frosts could be a feature at times in the coming days. Not widespread, but definitely in some isolated spots. As you can see, we're down to maybe 2 or 3 degrees in some rural areas. And you can see same temperatures onto Tuesday, 15 or 16 degrees. Now, as I said, the reason for this is though northerly winds pushing in, very warm air in the southeast, peaking around the 17 or 18 degree mark at 850 HPA right as I speak. That clears during the evening into Saturday morning, and you can see very cold air, the -4 isotherm potentially moving into almost 21, maybe 22 degree temperature contrast there. That fuels the rain, and then that much colder air pushes in. It does get moderated into next week, but remains chilly as that easterly flow continues to push in. Now, if you look at the GFS, it's been fairly consistent with that easterly flow dominating as we head towards the end of September, and it's no different really today. That northerly wind pushes in, the high pressure topples, but transitions northwards and eastwards, and then we see this easterly flow pushing in. It's pretty strong and persistent for much of next week. The big thing we've got to look at is these little troughs that could develop within the flow, as this could enhance precipitation and shower activity. Again, don't expect anything too crazy, but definitely could be a feature. But eventually, longer term, the high starts to break down and we could go back into a trough, and you can start to see lower pressure pushing back in. Upper air temperatures start to warm up a little bit, return back towards average, maybe even trending above average as that wind direction shifts from an easterly to more of a southwesterly. Would turn more unsettled there. But we are looking at early October, so a good couple of weeks away. So at least the medium term, short to medium term, cooler, easterly flow, but hopefully at least pretty dry from kind of Sunday, Monday onwards. Now, if you look at the GM, it's broadly very similar. Again, that northerly flow pushing in, really quite chilly through the weekend. Easterly winds push in, but the high not quite as far northwards and westwards. And what this means is more of a southeasterly, and eventually does let the lower pressure system in off the Atlantic. Similar to what the GFS does, it just does it a few days faster, and it turns us very unsettled here around day 10. So you can see that easterly pushes in, maybe not quite as cold as it veers to more of a southeasterly before eventually the Atlantic pushes in and brings back heavy rain. Now the Eastern OF is a little bit of a rogue run this for the midnight run here. And he's showing some very interesting additions longer term. Northerly winds pushing in. Eventually the high moves northwards and eastwards. Does push in easterly winds, but similar to the GM, late next week the westerlies return, and it actually could turn milder and unsettled for a time. And then we see another high pressure system build in right over the top of us. It looks actually quite dry and warm. And then the last few frames high pressure extending towards Greenland, and it could open the door to some really cold northerly winds. Now, we are looking at early October here, so the air masses to our north are quite a bit colder than what they are right now. You can see big contrast in only 2 weeks as we descend towards winter. Now, we're not going to see the -10 or -15 isotherm. It's almost impossible. It's difficult getting that during midwinter from a northerly wind. But what we could see is very cold air flooding our way, yes, highly modified if it reaches our shores, but it could again continue a real chill there into early October. So a very interesting run from the ECMWF. It doesn't fully pull it off. We need another couple of days here, but warm air is getting pushed into Greenland with higher pressure, low pressure moving towards Scandinavia, and it could open the door to a really chilly, said north or northeasterly wind. That would be a chart if we were in December or January that we'd have some real intrigue, as that could be a very cold pattern if that did come off. Now, after you finish by looking at the latest ensembles, you can see the big temperature drop over the next couple of days from 16 or 17 degrees at 850 HPA down towards 0 or -1 in London. So a big drop, and you can see it remains below average for much of next week. We return towards average into the final few days of September and early October, but really not deviating much from the sort of 1991-2020 mean. Precipitation still low to moderate. As I said, showers will still be possible in the east and the southeast with the easterly flow, as we are likely to see troughs and small disturbances. But hopefully, at least if you're further westwards, it is drier. So not a particularly amazing outlook, but it could be a lot worse. We could see stormy conditions, or we could see horrible big walls of rain and strong winds pushing in. It is going to be chilly, it's going to be fresher, but hopefully we'll see a fair share of dry conditions. Dew points really dropping, especially into early next week, so it is going to feel much colder, and you can see sea level pressure is rising. So that's why I'm hopeful that yes, there will be some showers, but things hopefully will be a little bit drier. And the 2 meter temperatures really dropping off as well, down to mid to low teens into early next week, but slowly rising longer term as we return back to some slightly warmer upper air temperatures. ECMWF pretty much exactly the same, big drop off, staying much colder for next week, a good 5, 6, 7 degrees below average, returning towards average into the final few days of September, and then kind of hovering around that average point into early October as well. Precipitation low at least next week, but again uncertain on those troughs and shower activity, for it does start to increase longer term as we could see lower pressure making a little bit of a return. So I keep a very close eye on this over the next few days. No huge changes in terms of sort of our expectations, but yeah, definitely confidence increasing on that easterly flow, and a fairly chilly next week or so, with huge temperature contrast and temperature flip, big cold front sweeping through this weekend. I can't emphasize enough how much that feel like temperature is going to flip, especially if you're in the southeast today, feeling like summer, humid, hot today, to a winter feel as we head through Sunday. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed. I'll keep you updated over the coming days, and I'll see you again for another video soon.